Nancy Pelosi is already calling for more investigations into Trump. And this is significant because it seems like we're gearing up for impeachment round 2. In December, Democrats said we will impeach him again. In the end of January, beginning of February, we will impeach him again. Then we saw calls in large newspapers that Donald Trump should be impeached again. And it seemed like the media and Democrats had been digging for a reason. And they just got that reason with the reduced sentence recommendation for Roger Stone and the resignation of 4 prosecutors who are working on the case. Now, they claim this is proof Trump is a tyrant. He's pardoning and getting his friends off who committed crimes. There is so much wrong with this assessment. First of all, the president can pardon anybody who is accused federally. And Barack Obama, at the same time in his presidency, actually pardoned more people than Donald Trump. I didn't see anybody freaking out about that. More importantly, Donald Trump maintains he did not intervene, but Pelosi says by simply tweeting about Roger Stone's case, the president is muddying up the politics. Full stop. Okay. If Donald Trump wanted to commute the sentence or pardon Roger Stone, he could just do it. And he maintains he did not tell Barr to do anything. We don't necessarily know why these 4 prosecutors resigned. In fact, some have suggested maybe they were even fired, which maybe is why Nancy Pelosi wants the investigation. But we'll dig into that. More importantly, I want to take a look at some of these stories very quickly before we get into the hard news about Roger Stone, where this story from just the other day, former Trump official predicts the president will be impeached again. Boy, you thought you could get out of this ride, but you were wrong. You know, we suffered through Russiagate, Ukrainegate, impeachment, and they're going to pull us right back in. If Donald Trump doesn't win, if the Republicans don't win back the House, you can bet it's going to be a wild ride after 2021 as the Democrats do not relent on their insane and inane investigations, which have never borne any fruit. Let's start with the story, and then I'll work you towards why I think second impeachment is underway. And I'm going to preempt their arguments and show you why, in all likelihood, Roger Stone probably should get some kind of reduced sentence. If not, maybe he should be pardoned because the Russia investigation was bunk. But let's get started with this story from Salon. Before we do, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's several different options, a PayPal option, a crypto options, physical address. But the best thing you can do, share this video. Maybe there's a lot of people who like that Donald Trump will be impeached again and they want to hear it. Great. Hopefully that will be enough to help shatter the echo chambers. But regardless of that, it really does help my channel grow because YouTube has some kind of weird Google search blacklist in which I and many others am on. You can't search for my channel. And that seriously does hurt the opportunity for growth. So if you want to help me out, share the video. Let's read. Salon, which I might add is a very kooky website, to say the least, says former Trump official predicts that the president will be impeached again. So they're actually citing the Raw Story, which is another kooky website. But let's read. On CNN Monday, J.W. Verrett, a George Mason University law professor and former member of the Trump transition team, predicted that President Donald Trump will end up impeached again, saying, quote, "You say the president feels empowered now," said co-anchor Jim Sciutto. "I wonder if, in your view, this will lead to the presidents who feel he can seek foreign help in the election. They are vetting information Rudy Giuliani gathered in Ukraine from very questionable sources." Quote from Verrett, "I think there's no question that he will attempt to do it. It's shameful to see what happened to Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. I'm not sorry to see Sondland go. He didn't acquit himself well. He participated in a violation of law. It took 2 of 3 times to come forward to Congress. The Vindman firing isn't acceptable. The only thing to prevent Trump to collude with a foreign power for a third time looks like front runners. Probably Russia doesn't have any dirt on them. Maybe they can hack the servers. It's worrisome. Quote, he will be impeached again. I don't know what for, and it will be legitimate," added Verrett. "It could be for things personal having to do with his company." Just to stick on that for a moment, if people missed in the intro when I said you worked for the president on the transition team, said Poppy Harlow, you were a believer, a supporter, and now you're saying he's going to be impeached again. It doesn't matter if you support the president. We know he's going to be impeached again. Okay, let me stop. I don't want to make the hard prediction because I'm not entirely sure. But I got to tell you, the dominoes are being lined up and they're getting ready to flick that first domino and send them all crashing down. They have been talking about second impeachment forever. Check this out. What is this? December 23rd, House counsel suggests Trump could be impeached again. That was even before the Senate got the actual impeachment paperwork and there were any managers. Then we see this. February 3rd, Trump impeachment trial. Democrats warn Trump will do it again if acquitted. If acquitted. That's right. They have continually talked about the potential for another impeachment. And now they're giving it to us. From the Washington Times, impeachment 2.0, Democrats line up possible new charges against Trump. This isn't the last story. So I certainly want to read it to see what they're insinuating at the Washington Times from February 6th. They say, Democrats already have lined up possible charges if they choose to pursue impeachment 2.0. Why? Because the Democrats don't learn. Record fundraising for Trump, record approval rating, doing better than ever. And you think you want to go through another impeachment? That was a slog fest. Americans absolutely hated sitting through that. The ratings were plummeting and you lost. Here's the thing, though. If the House is maintained by the Democrats after the 2020 elections in November, they will do it again. And they'll do everything they can to hurt and remove the president. So it really does come down to whether or not Trump's base are going to come out in force and win back these moderate districts. I honestly don't know. I think they will, but I was wrong in 2018. And voter turnout in New Hampshire was up. Now, in Iowa, it was down. So we don't know yet what's going to happen. But I'll tell you this, hubris will be your downfall. If the Democrats maintain that House, look, Trump could lose in November, sure. I don't think it's likely, but possible. But if the Democrats keep the House, get ready for 2.0. If you thought 1.0 was bad, impeachment 2, I don't know, Vindman Boogaloo, whatever they're going to drum up. Oh, Roger Stone. That's what it's going to be. It's over the Roger Stone stuff. And I got it. I'll show you. They say, still pending is a wide open probe launched by Adam Schiff, California Democrat. Mr. Schiff has been investigating President Trump, his family, and businesses, the Trump Organization, over the congressman's suspicion of blackmail, money laundering, and bribery. Seems like Schiff just makes things up. He is one of the most mind-drilling politicians I have ever seen. He just seriously stands up, literally makes things up, and here we are. Like he literally read a fake transcript into congressional record, and a lot of people believed it was real. It's sad, I know. I'm not saying the majority or most. I'm just saying a lot of people did. That's what he does. Republican staffers say the inquiry was put on hold last fall, pending the Ukraine impeachment proceedings led by Mr. Schiff. But there is no sign Mr. Schiff has given up on trying to prove Mr. Trump is corrupt. And if the president is impeached again, the charges would likely come from this probe, informed sources said. Perhaps, because the probe's already underway. What about what Nancy Pelosi is calling for? First, I'd like to show you this, what has the Democrats, yes, I'll say it, in panic. Fears of more post-impeachment purges grow as Trump says military should punish Vindman. Well, Trump's getting rid of the Obama holdovers finally, and naturally they're shrieking, say it's retaliation against family members. Dude, Obama got rid of a ton of people when he first got in office. Trump's mistake was not doing the same thing. But of course, no matter what Trump does, they say for him, it's a bad thing. For everyone else, it's fine. Now, I do have the data on pardoning, but I want to get to that in a second because I want to show you now what Nancy Pelosi is saying and go through what's happening with Roger Stone. I believe that Roger Stone may be the pretext for the next impeachment. However, with a caveat, they may be going after Bill Barr. We'll see how this plays out. But it may actually end up with President Trump. So if it's not Trump, maybe Barr. A viral trend on Twitter, disbar Barr and impeach Barr. It's not the first time people have called for this because they say Barr is just working at the behest of Trump and doing everything he wants like the mafia. Let me tell you something. I'm sorry. I should have shown you this. Yes, George Conway already called for impeaching Trump again. We get it. Nancy Pelosi calls for investigation into Roger Stone's sentencing recommendation. And here it is. They're going to do the same thing. Abuse of power. Why is it that Trump, in his purview to set foreign policy, was accused of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress? The Democrats never went to SCOTUS to resolve the issue, but then claimed they had the authority to impeach the president over these things. Now we have, again, within the president's purview, the right to commute and pardon individuals. Nothing in the Constitution says, yeah, but don't pardon your friends. He likes Roger Stone. He's done it for a long time. He can. I do think it's important to point out the Mueller investigation was built upon nonsense and proved to be false. So I think we've got dangerous precedent of triggering phony investigations that result in people getting charged for things like obstruction or lying. Now, I get it. You know, if there is an investigation, you should not be allowed to obstruct this. But what if the investigation was predicated on lies and misinformation? Now you have a dangerous precedent to where law enforcement would have the right, or have the ability, I should say, not the right, the ability to start a phony investigation to set up perjury traps to get people locked up. It's not going to be good for freedom. The other funny thing about the whole Roger Stone thing is that people are more concerned about whether or not Trump has the right to pardon anybody and the resignations of these prosecutors, instead of whether or not the sentence against Roger Stone was draconian, seeking 9 years. Well, Nancy Pelosi tweeted, by tweet, real Donald Trump engaged in political interference in the sentencing of Roger Stone. It is outrageous that DOJ has deeply damaged the rule of law by withdrawing its recommendation. Stepping down of prosecutors should be commended and actions of DOJ should be investigated. You kidding, dude? Trump can pardon anybody. What is this? It's literally the presidential power to issue federal pardons. Investigated for what? And Trump maintains he never told Barr to do anything. From the Hill, Trump says he didn't order a justice to change sentencing for Roger Stone. According to most reporting, the DOJ says they were planning this before Trump even said anything at all. Now, I talked about this the other day. Maybe it's because they knew Trump might get mad. I don't know. Does it matter? You're trying to argue one thing and both sides are saying no. The Hill reports, President Trump said Tuesday that he didn't instruct the Justice Department to change his longtime associate Roger Stone's prison sentence recommendation, while insisting he would be allowed to do so and calling the recommendation ridiculous. Quote, I'd be able to do it if I wanted. I have the absolute right to do it. I stay out of things, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office when asked whether he asked the department to change the recommendation. I didn't speak to them. I thought the recommendation was ridiculous. I thought the whole prosecution was ridiculous. I thought it was an insult to our country and it shouldn't happen. The Justice Department on Tuesday lessened its sentencing recommendation for Stone after prosecutors said in a filing a day prior that he should receive 7 to 9 years in prison. The news came after Trump criticized the sentencing recommendation in a tweet early Tuesday morning, calling it very unfair and saying that such a miscarriage of justice should not be allowed. Why would anyone at the DOJ panic over Trump's opinion? You could argue, as I did, maybe they knew Trump would get angry and said, we better change this. They claim to have delivered the recommendation before Trump even tweeted about it. But they have nothing to worry about. They can do their jobs, and if Trump is upset, he'll just issue his pardon or commute the sentence. Why would they care at all? Which brings me to the next big story as to why this is gearing up to be impeachment number 2. 4 prosecutors quit after Justice Department takes extraordinary step of lowering recommended prison time for Roger Stone. Now, here's the challenge. You have 2 views of this. Trump is a mafioso orange dictator who is getting his friends off the hook, who obstructed the Mueller investigation and got away by the skin of his teeth. The other side is you've got Mueller's prosecutors, Mueller's bad investigation, which bore no fruit, which turned out to be bunk, and the FISA warrants, some of them turned out to be bunk. And now Trump is saying this case against Roger Stone should have never happened. I mean, think about this. They raided Roger Stone's house at in the wee hours of the morning with SWAT gear on. The dude, how old is this guy, Roger Stone? It's in his 70s or something. It's ridiculous. They show up to his house for all this, this raid with cameras waiting. I have no idea what they were intending to do. But as my understanding, these prosecutors worked for Mueller. Trump recently accused Mueller of lying. So some people predict or suggest this may have been a firing. The DOJ may have gone to them and said, the prosecution of Roger Stone, no dice, get out. We want your resignation. When people are fired, especially in positions like this, they're not told to get out and security comes and escort them out. They're told to tender their resignation. We don't know the circumstances in which they left. I'm also curious if the case can even move forward now that all 4 prosecutors are gone. I don't think there's a grand conspiracy or that Trump is pulling mafioso moves because it makes literally no sense. He could pardon or commute anyone he wants. Maybe it's like a Jussie Smollett thing where he wants to make sure that Roger Stone never gets convicted in the first place. so they can say he's not a felon or whatever. I think it's a felony, maybe not. The point is, there's too much going on here and too much speculation and bias from everybody. All I can really say is it's within the president's purview to pardon or commute anybody he wants. And if the DOJ wants to reduce prison time, so what? Barack Obama pardoned tons of people. Everybody did. So in the next story, Trump congratulates Bill Barr for taking charge of Stone case. Look, it makes sense. Bill Barr is a guy Trump likes. If Trump says he didn't instruct anybody to do anything, well, what are we supposed to do? I'll tell you what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to call for an investigation. And here's the funny thing. Imagine if Trump literally did nothing. Imagine he did not go to Bill Barr. They would investigate anyway. As we already read, Adam Schiff he's still got an open probe into Trump's personal business dealings. And he only stopped because Ukraine Gate happened. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. If I was going to make a bet, it's going to be that Trump will be impeached again. I'm willing to bet it's going to be Adam Schiff. It's going to be the same trashy nonsense, but it could very well be Bill Barr. From Newsweek, impeach Barr and disbar Barr trend after Roger Stone's prosecutors resign over DOJ's decision to lower prison sentence. So they may just go after Bill Barr. Donald Trump got someone who you can call him a loyalist, or you can call him a good, attorney general, whatever you want to call him. Is Bill Barr. They want him to be removed because he is working at the behest of Trump, I suppose. What would they expect? They wanted somebody who was going to reject the orders of the president? Or are they mad that Trump is exercising the power of the presidency? It's probably the latter. They never wanted him to be president in the first place. But I want to wrap something up. And then we'll talk about whether or not Trump has the right to do it. The DOJ acknowledges insufficient cause to monitor former Trump aide Carter Page as suspected Russian agent. And this is me preempting where we will eventually go. I want you to remember this. Russiagate bore no fruit. I say it for the third time. The DOJ acknowledges insufficient cause to monitor Carter Page. Why did the whole probe happen? I have no idea. I know what the conspiracy is. The conspiracy theories suggest that, if you're on the left, they think Trump interfered, is working with Russia. And by obstructing Mueller couldn't do anything. So Trump brings in Barr and Barr fires Mueller, ending the investigation. But he's a criminal, they say. They still suggest that Trump is corrupt and working for the Russians. Not exaggerating. In the impeachment trial, they suggested he was still working with the Russians and cheated in 2016. Now, on the other side, the conspiracy theory is that actors with holdovers, people within the deep state, are secretly plotting against Donald Trump. The only problem is that there's no evidence Trump was colluding with Russia. And there is evidence that resistance type people for years had been talking about getting rid of Trump. Does that mean there's a grand deep state conspiracy? No, please calm down. Not at all. It just means that there are people that Obama appointed who are biased and trying to throw a wrench in the spokes. We read the book. Remember, a warning by Anonymous claiming to be in the White House and doing everything to subvert and bring about Donald Trump's downfall. So, yeah, they kind of admitted there's a group of people tacitly conspiring. I say tacitly, like as in they hate the president. They're working against him. It doesn't mean it's a grand coordinated effort. It means these people need to go. So perhaps Trump was right to go about firing many of these holdovers. He should have done it in the first place. How can the country function? I want to show you something. I want to preempt the investigations and the crying and the shrieking about Donald Trump and Roger Stone. What you're looking at as I scroll very, very quickly through is a list of all of the pardons from Barack Obama going back to December 3rd, 2010. Now, just before Barack Obama left office, he issued a ton of pardons, as most presidents seem to do. At the same time in his presidency, Donald Trump issued 4 less pardons than Barack Obama did. If Trump really wanted Stone out, he'd have snapped his fingers and said, get it done. He can. So they're freaking out over nothing. It is within the president's purview. That brings me now to why I think okay, I'll wrap this up. I believe we are going to see impeachment 2.0 if the Democrats maintain control of the House, because that's when they get the vote. But also because Adam Schiff is using his position in the House Intelligence Committee not to do intelligence oversight, but to shriek Orange Man bad and investigate Donald Trump. House Intel Republicans boycott hearing, citing Schiff's failure to hold hearing on FISA abuse. And there it is. A court has ruled 2 of these warrants were bad, as I've just shown you. And the Republicans want answers. You know what? I want answers too. I want to know what's going on. I want public hearings. You got your hearings on Trump nonstop over and over again for years. Please, can we bring in, Hunter Biden? Can Adam Schiff testify? But Adam Schiff apparently is doing nothing, and the Republicans are quite angry about it. And that's probably because Adam Schiff isn't campaigning on bettering his district or doing anything to help the American people. Adam Schiff is obsessed. He has a psychotic and unhealthy obsession with Donald Trump. Dare I say, a severe case of acute Trump derangement syndrome. Listen, man, the election is coming up. If you work on bolstering your candidates, you could probably win. But maybe that's just it. Adam Schiff doesn't care about his district. He doesn't care about the country or the American people. He just hates Trump. It is mind-numbingly boring. You know what, man? We might actually get a second impeachment before the next election. You know why? We're headed towards a strong likelihood, we have a strong likelihood of a contested Democrat convention. And the superdelegates will probably swoop in and give it to Buttigieg. Who knows? We're only through 2 states so far, Iowa and New Hampshire. But what do you think happens when the Democrats start realizing their base is split, they don't have the votes to go up against Trump, and they need hard dirt? Impeachment 2.0, baby. With Nancy Pelosi calling for investigations into Trump's actions with Bill Barr, with activists demanding the impeachment, the disbarring of Bill Barr, what do you think's going to happen? They know they're going to lose. I mean, we're headed for Trump 2020 landslide as far as most of the data shows. Now, the polls don't, but the polls have been wrong. Economic forecast models, on the other hand, say Trump going to win this one. I think they're going to pull an insane Hail Mary. Now, I could be wrong. This is all based off of today's information, which is subject to change. But it seriously looks like impeachment 2.0 is going to come, and it's going to come quick. This is the offensive line. The Democrats are fighting internally. They have to choose who's going to represent them in November. There's going to be chaos. And that means the frontline Democrats, people like Schiff, who are on the offensive, aren't going to do what they're supposed to do, actually legislate and hold oversight hearings for the intelligence oversight hearings. No, they're going to go after Trump. They're going to go after Trump because they want to win, and they need to make sure they don't lose the House. So I think we will see some big scandal, some big investigation. The hearings haven't stopped. After the Mueller probe, we got the Ukraine gate nonsense. Then we got the impeachment trial. It's gonna happen again. I'll put money on it. I'm joking. I mean that not literally. I'm saying as a gentleman's bet. I will say, I hope you're geared up for impeachment 2.0, a roller coaster ride I will likely avoid. But of course, as I talk politics and news, I'm going to get roped into this. It's not going to be fun. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. at youtube.com/TimCastNews, and I will see you all there.